In this part we are starting to create our battlefield for some visibility, even if we don't have any animations and stuff on the playfield. We will start to create the first two basic classes for our heroes and for our enemies. So let's get started. At first I created a new 3D game, 3D scene and of course project, and in my assets folder I start to create some folders for now. So the first one is going to be materials, since I want to have some colors and stuff, and later on I also want to make sure that I have everything organized. I also want a scenes folder where I can save my scenes. Another folder is going to be for my scripts. We will have a lot of scripts and this will take the most of the time, of course. And what else do we need? We need a prefabs folder, of course. We don't need this yet, but maybe later we will. So for creation of the battlefield we don't actually need pretty much stuff. I just go over and prototype this one, as I maybe said in the introduction. So I take just a ground plane for my battlefield and make sure that this plane will have some material on it. So at first I go over and reset its transform if it hasn't already, and of course my camera, which is this one, will look onto this. Oh, it seems I started this 2D game instead of a 3D game, so I need to fix this pretty quick. I will be back in just a second. Or let me just do it with you together. I just changed the camera from orthographic to perspective, and of course I need to create a directional light. So I right click in here and say light, directional light, and this light maybe gets I don't know, a rotation somehow to get some shadows and light onto the scene. And I will drag this up a bit so it's not in the way. And I don't want this to be on the main camera. Basically it doesn't really matter. And now we need to see the camera is going to be this way, so I will drag this up a bit and maybe turn it by 45 degrees. Basically it doesn't really matter, except you want something special also, then yeah, feel free to do anything. Maybe I just do a 10 degree so it's a bit flattened. So turning the sun a bit more down, maybe in an angle of 45 or 50, so white will be white, hopefully. Okay, so with that done, I can just create some 3D object, which is going to be, the first one is going to be a cube, and of course make sure that you reset its position, so it will be at 0, 0, 0, and then this later on will be gets deleted when you use or when you enable the battle system from outside. You will load your enemies and your heroes by script, but now I want to just demonstrate the stuff, how it's going to work. So what I want to do right now is I also create some materials pretty quick. So I go into that materials folder, right click on it and say create material. This is going to be, in my case, blue, and just rename this one to blue. Go into the albedo color channel and choose a color which fits, and just drag this one onto the cube. Same no, that was wrong, I didn't want it to. Same again, create material. This is going to be red for our enemy guys, and then just select the red color in here. Also create another material which is going to be yellow for the selector later on. Don't forget to change the color to yellow, of course. And another one, material, and this is going to be green for our ground. Can also be brown depending on what you like. Again, I just prototype this, so you want to go over and do that with me together, or you just have your scene set up already with all your nice textures and all the other things. But for learning, prototyping is the best, since you can easily and quickly choose and change stuff you don't like or you just go over and like. I change my aspect game or the aspect ratio to 16:9 since I want to have a landscape mode basically, and I believe I drag the camera a bit away from the battlefield so it's not that big, but also I will have some more space, or I just go over and turn it down a bit more, just that it looks okayish. We will later on maybe do some animations for the cameras too, so I don't care right now. I also need to rename this one to Hero 1 in my case. Feel free to rename that, but remember your names. This will be important later on. The next one is we need several game tags. I believe, well, in my introduction I haven't used them, but we will need them later on for checking if something is dead. Maybe not, but for now we just go over and add tags. So go to add tag, select the plus sign 2 times, and the first tag is going to be a hero tag, and the second one is going to be an enemy tag. And now what I can do is I can just duplicate this this cube, and I can create a second one or just drag this one over. Why am I doing that? Because we will have later on more heroes and I want to check if boss heroes are acting like they have to. Also don't forget to rename the hero to Hero 2 again. So now the same is going to happen for boss, so select the boss and then we go to tag and select the hero tag we just created 1 second ago. So now we duplicate this one again by Control D. Oh, the funny thing is I renamed them, but it's okay. So I just call them Hero once again, and in here this is going to be Hero 1 with a space, and this is okay again, pretty quick. Okay, and those guys are going to be enemies, so I just rename them boss at the same time to enemy at first. Select the enemy tag we just created a minute ago, and then we say, no, this might be enemy 2. Later on the names don't, or basically are changed, depending on what we set them. Again, select them boss. You can also again take or use the control key for selecting them in a scene, and then we just drag in. Oh, it doesn't work like this. Okay, and then we make them red. This ground plane does not need anything. I just can at first go over and rename this one to ground. So that's the basic setup. Later on we might change the camera once again depending on how we want to set this up with the GUI. We don't go over about the GUI in this chapter. So let's create our first classes. The first one is going to be our base hero. So, and the second one is going to be our base enemy. I'm too fast. So base enemy. Those two classes don't do anything except just sitting there and will not inherit from anything. So let me open up MonoDevelop and I will be back in just a second. Okay, so I open it up MonoDevelop, and in here we have our class base hero. What we want to do is at first we want to get rid of the double dot and mono behavior. Since we don't want to inherit from mono behavior, we will do that from any other place. Also, we don't need start and update for this one. What we need to do for that class is at first we need that angle brackets or square brackets. And what we need to do is we need to type in system.serializable to make it visible in the inspector, and do some other things maybe later on. So what we want to do is we want to create some base variables for our heroes. Every hero will inherit from that base hero, so we will go over this one later on. What I want to do is, at first I want to have my heroes a name. We need the name later on to determine which hero do we have in here, so make sure you write everything properly. The next thing is we need, all of them will be public, so make sure everything is public in here, otherwise it won't work and we have no access to them. The next are several floats, and the first one is going to be our base HP for the health. If it's really needed, I will later on comment stuff out, but I don't think it is, since it just are the basic variables. And of course we need a current HP, so I just shortened this one by car HP. Same is for our MP. If we are using later on magic attacks, we will just say base MP. The same is going to be base float base, no, it's car MP for the current MP we just have, as of which we can just decrease and compare later on too. So the next things you may want to go over later on are things like stats which are extra. So I just start to implement them right now, but yeah, we may later on change this. So what we want to have is maybe some stamina, which will maybe later on increase or decrease HP by any kind of system. You maybe want to have some intellect for our MP. Then we maybe want to have some public int dexterity for speed, dexterity, or for anything else. Of course, we want to have some public int agility for avoiding or whatever. Agility. There we go. And we later on will add some more stuff. Don't forget to save this script and go over to the base enemy script, and we will do the same stuff in here. But the base enemy may have other things. We maybe can also use the base hero class for this enemies, but it's better to have everything separated, so to not get confused later on. So let's fill up the base class for our base enemy. The base enemy will hold some more informations. Again, the first thing we want to make sure is that this one is going to be system.serializable. To make sure that we can see everything later on. And the first one, once again, I will show you everything in just a second while we do that, is again the name of the enemy. We will pass this one in later on with different kind of stuff. So what you want to or need to think about is, what kind of game are you going to do? Will you do something fantastic or fantasy style? Will you have something like Pokemon or, and so on and so forth? So if you do so, then you want to work with elements, for example. So this can be done by using a public enum. An enum is going to be a list which can hold several different variables basically, and you can determine in between all that and compare them later on. If water is good against fire, then you can have some you can calculate in some more things. So what we type in here, we want to set a type. What kind of enemy, what do we want to have in here? Let's say we are going to have grass, fire. Let me just do them all bold. You don't need to type all of them big, but for me, I work with that pretty often. So another enum might be water, of course, and another thing which is going to be good against water might be electric. If you don't want to work with all of that things, then you can just avoid that and wait until we are done with that. The same if you are working with game or you creating a game such as Pokemon and stuff, you may want to enter or implement some kind of rarity. That rarity will be how often one kind of monster will drop. Again, I'm going to zoom in a bit, maybe again show you this one pretty quick, the base hero class. I hope you haven't problems with reading that. I just forgot to zoom in, so I'm sorry for that. So if you have done all of that, we are doing that. And again, this can be everything as you want, like common, uncommon, maybe rare and super rare. So don't forget to save often to not lose anything. And now we want to set the type variable for this in the next line. So which will be public and then of type, which we just created over here. And that type is going to be, we need a new name for this one, or a new variable type of this. It's going to be enemy type. The next thing is going to be public of rarity, which we just created in here just a second ago. And we type lowercase rarity once again. And then we leave some space in here because there will be stuff later on too. And then we can just go over to the base hero, and what we can do is we can just copy those, the base HP and MP stuff. Copy that and paste them in here, since those guys may have HP and MP too. But also we may want to go over and have some basic defense and attack values, which we cannot calculate in, or we don't need to calculate in. So everything depends on how you mix and match all that stuff later on. We may go over and delete those, but for now let's just add them in to fill or to upgrade this one. So there can be a base attack. Maybe we don't need to, but we can just take this for now. We can have, of course, current attack, which is maybe some upgraded monster for anything. And for Pokemon, you might want to take that values and change them depending on what we need or what you need. So we can also implement base defense and car defense. Oh, of course it's going to be a float too. So make sure everything are floats, especially for HP and MP. Those are most important one. Those needs to be float. You can use even numbers, but integers won't work properly, but especially for timing and upping all that stuff. So make sure all of them are floats. Same for the base hero. Make sure that those are floats. Okay, what we can do right now is we can, let me check the time. Yeah, that's okay. Let's do one more step. So let's create the state machine for our hero and for our for our enemies. So what we say is we create hero state machine. We are going to go over states later on. I'm going to show you this one in just a second too. And our hero state machine, let's open this one again in MonoDevelop. Can contain our first things we just created. So what we do is we want to inherit from base hero, and since it's serializable, we can make this one visible in the screen, or basically on the character itself, on the hero itself. So what we do is we say public base hero. So we take this class and say this is going to be our hero. There we go. So now we have all the information directly in that script from whichever hero we want. And we can do the same with the enemy. So we go over in here and we say C# script and say Yeah, that's cool. Enemy state machine. Why do I call this one state machine? Basically later on this will hold a lot of states, but we will go over and do that in the next video. So in that, oh, maybe now it will crash. Sometimes MonoDevelop in its new version is going to crash once there are changes. Don't ask me why. Hopefully everything works right now. Yeah, there we go. So in that state machine, once again, of the enemy, we say exactly the same, except we don't inherit from or don't take the base hero, we will take the base enemy. So we say public base enemy, and we say just enemy, and save this. Don't forget to save everything you've done. So there's a base hero class and there's a enemy class, and now we can go to our enemies. This is going to be the second one, so take this as the first one. And now what we can do is later on we just create prefabs for this, but not right now. We can take an enemy and we take our enemy state machine and drop that onto the enemy. What you can see right now is we will have a complete new enemy class, and we can now set this one pretty quickly up. We can say this is going to be the name enemy1, the same which is this one, and now we can set what kind of type of enemy is that, a grass, a fire, a water, electric. This is what all we did in the base class, in the base enemy class. So we have the possibility to set this enemy to anything we want. Maybe fire. We can say how rare this one is. And we can set base values like basic HP, maybe 20. The current HP of course is the same. And we can do the same with MP, like maybe 10, 10. So going to be the attack might be 5 and the base defense might be 6. And we can do the same with the enemy too. So we just drag over the enemy state machine, and we can say this maybe of kind of water. This is going to be the name enemy2. Make sure this and this name are matching for now. This is going to have maybe 25 by 25. Just fill in any numbers, or I just do. There's no sense behind that. Maybe this one has 20 magic attacks, maybe an attack of 8 and 8, and a base defense of maybe 3, and current defense of 3 too. Save the scene, go to your scenes folder and say this is going to be, I don't know, scene 1 or battle scene. Save. Now we have the thing and not in the right folder. So we drag this one into the scenes folder, and those scripts are in the wrong one, so I just drag them over to the script folder. And of course I go over and rename the script folder pretty quick to scripts. So now we have the two enemies set up pretty quickly with their stats inside, and we can do the same for our two heroes. So select them boss if you like to, and add the hero state machine, the same we, as you can see, have had in the other one. So now just select one of them and say hero 1. Don't forget, this needs to be the same name. Later on you can again do everything in prefabs. This will have maybe 50 HP, or maybe it doesn't really matter, maybe 20 MP, some stamina, if I just do all of them to 10 right now. Okay, and the same one for this one. Maybe this has 60 HP, has a name hero 2, some base MP maybe 10, and of course stamina, intellect, dexterity, agility all to 10 set up. Okay, so now we have the basic setup for our enemies and for our heroes. Later on you can create hero lists, or basically we will create another hero list to choose from maybe, and of course we will go over and create an enemy list to get them into the battle randomly, but this will take a while until we get to that point. So now, as you can see, we have the basic setup for our scene, and we have the base classes already done. The next thing we want to go over is maybe creating the GUI for the battle. So stay tuned for the next video. Until then, bye bye.